Epstein gives MAGA a post-Trump future. That might be an interesting thing to discuss.
Gross. Post-Trump. Well, it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
A real problem with Trump is that people don't realize that what's going on behind him that creates a lot of his support is from this white Christian nationalist area. And they're not going away when Trump disappears.
No,
They've
they're
been
not.
looking for a figurehead to run with them forever. And they figured
You're not
out
supposed to be in here.
that Trump is, he's actually a racist. It's pretty darn obvious. He's actually what's the word? Oh, he's a misogynist. He's definitely patriarchal. And
He's
this
a
is like
bigot.
he's their dream person to play with. And
Yes.
he doesn't realize he's everybody's useful idiot because he's too arrogant to realize that people realize he's actually not very smart. He's somebody who's coasted on his money, and I don't even understand how he coasted on his looks because he's never been that attractive. But I think it was his money mostly.
It's interesting you say that is because it sounds a lot or very similar in a lot of ways to Jeffrey Epstein.
Epstein
Learning
was better
about
looking,
him.
though.
Yeah, but learning about him with Ellie, one of the things she's talked a lot about is Epstein really didn't have a ton of money. He made it
No,
look like he had a ton of money
right.
and made people believe he had a ton of money.
He
So rich
was
people thought he
definitely
had a ton of money and gave him money. And so
right.
it's really interesting that like these rich people who say they have a lot of money don't actually have a lot of money. They just pretend like they do and bully other people into it.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of a
There was a girl
Trumpian.
who did that. There was a girl who ended up I think she ended up having charges pressed against her. She did this whole "I'm a rich girl" thing and had everybody taking care of her and spending money on her, and she didn't have anything and ended up, leveraging this super rich lifestyle out of just making people believe that she was. And it's kinda neat to know that really wealthy people are gullible, but I'm not the kind of person that has the kind of morals that would let that happen. I wouldn't do that to somebody, but it's kinda neat to realize that rich people are just as dumb as the rest of us, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and it's also kind of it's the worst part is it's sad, it's scary that they're just as dumb as the rest of us because you would think that if you're rich, you would have earned that money, which means you would have had to work for it, let's say, and had to have knowledge of financials and other different
Yeah.
things to be good with it. Yet here we are with the dumbest people having the most fucking money because they've somehow convinced everybody else that they have money. And yeah, it is really, it's sad and scary, isn't it? It's really sad, but it all does tie back into a lot of ways is the Dominionism system and the rich um, being controlled by this fear of, I guess that or they bought into their own bullshit about the elect and yeah, nepotism, but they bought into even worse is their idea of the elect that we were talking about last
Right.
time and how they are anointing themselves as fixtures
Mhm.
of God. And so they have this righteousness syndrome. It's
Right.
even worse than nepotism is it's that righteousness syndrome where they can do
Yeah.
no wrong. And in fact, the more wrong they do, as long as they're righteous about it, they're more likely to go to heaven.
No,
Um,
there's nothing in that biblically or in any sermon I've ever heard. I will set that straight right now. There is
it
no
feels like it.
these it feels like it because these people get, how do I put it? There's this thing that we do with all celebrity where we have this type of celebrity worship.
Hmm.
And so we have this belief that people that are put in leadership are somehow above us, and we're the ones that put them there. That's something we've got to get over. But yeah, they sit there and they take that human issue that we have and they exploit it, especially
Yeah.
people like Trump. They sit there and go, "Of course I'm better than you because I'm above you." And there's nothing to that. And somehow we've got to realize that, and it's something we go back to on other things when we talk politics, where we have to hold the people we elect accountable. They are our employees. They are not our leaders. We put them there, and we should be able to take them back if we want to.
Yes,
There's no divinity in leading in this country. It's an elected responsibility.
correct.
So,
Yeah, and we have to make sure too, like there's a distinct separation between the biblically leading and elected responsibility in this
oh
country,
yes,
especially because there's a very tight, it's supposed to be a very strong wall of separation between, sorry, excuse me, church and state.
right,
And that separation is supposed to, one, protect the churches from the government, from
right,
imposing a single establishment. It's the establishment clauses. They cannot
right.
establish a
Establish a state
single
religion.
state religion.
Correct.
That being said, the US government also cannot then give preference to any
Correct.
one religion also, or cannot be derogatory or um, disparaging towards one religion, which means atheists to fundamentalists all have the equal span of rights. One nation under God is actually a Red Scare thing.
Correct.
Is that
Yep.
was the first attempt to at really bringing in Christian nationalism into, yeah, Cold War
To show
scare.
us as different from the godless commies.
Yeah,
Was
because it's all
exactly how it
about
was put.
yeah, they put godless in there for a reason.
Right.
And I mean, we're all commies somehow because anybody on the left is a commie. Um, and yeah, it all really does. A lot of it ties back to early Reagan and
Oh, way before Reagan. One Nation Under God is an Eisenhower thing.
yes, yeah,
So,
that was yeah, early Cold War,
yes,
late,
early Cold War.
and we
I
had
was
to have
always
some
told
sort
it
of
was
nationalistic interest.
right. I was always told it was Billy Graham, but actually it was supposedly a Presbyterian pastor who had approached him with it, and apparently got him to go to church because he apparently wasn't really going to church a whole lot. Eisenhower wasn't, and he got him to go to church to show leadership, quote unquote, and to
Mm. But
yeah,
yeah, but there's supposed to be that separation. Like in all, is the government cannot establish and cannot favor or discriminate. That was the word that I was looking for earlier. Was they're not supposed to be able to establish or discriminate against any particular religion, um, which is their mandate to us as the people. But our mandate to them is um, we're not supposed to use our pulpits from religious perspectives to mandate government, which
right,
is what is no
which is what
longer
they want,
illegal.
right. And you're also allowed to now bring your religion into your workplace in the federal government, which is
Yeah.
very, very dangerous.
Do you want to
'Cause
talk about that a little bit with the around the VA and what
sure.
that might mean?
Especially with the additions where they were told that they can not discriminate except against unprotected classes like marital status, voting status, political affiliation. That, yeah, with that in the VA, that can be really problematic
Yeah,
because people.
especially. No, go ahead. Sorry,
As,
I
as,
interrupted.
as a veteran, I'd like to hear your what you've seen so far about it and how you feel about it.
Well, I haven't been directly impacted in any way by it that I know of. Um, so first off, I'll say I haven't been directly impacted. That doesn't mean other people haven't, and I do care about them. I'm not going to downplay anybody's story, and this is why. I haven't been directly impacted, but I have heard stories already coming out that people have been impacted, maybe not at the VA yet,
Well, there's
um,
definitely been in
but I
other
have
areas.
heard, I think, rumors that people have been impacted at the VA at this point, on marital status. And There's a quick jump from there, or being asked extra questions on the mental health checks about your sexual orientation in weird ways, things like that. Like the VA is, or like programs like this, they're going to find, or clauses like this where they're going to ask you, like, are you Christian or not, basically,
Mhm.
is, and are you white and married? Without having to ask them, is they're going to ask you circumspect questions like, can you have a baby? If you were, if you were healthy right now today, could you have a baby?
Nope.
Um, like that's a question that can easily be asked to somebody and say, if you're a trans member, service member at the VA, and they ask you that question and you can't have a baby, well, one, don't answer that question. So never answer that question. Like that's a trick question. It's a trap.
Mhm.
Like that's a
Yeah.
trap question. But people are going to start seeing that or hearing that on their mental health questionnaires, on their intake questions. Um, and you don't have to answer those. Just remember,
Right.
it's your healthcare. I haven't been impacted because I'm a straight enough looking white male and I'm married. And I sort of fit all the bills and they can't do anything about me. And
Oh,
if they try to, my VA knows I'll make a fuss. Like I'm good at it. Later, Shane, thanks for coming, brother. And but when it impacts one service member, or in veteran, it impacts all of us because it impacts all of our care because it's pitting us against each other.
right. Well, that's part of the whole goal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They want to divide the veteran community because the longer they can keep veterans divided, that's the longer they can keep America divided. Because
Mhm.
typically, once veterans come together for a cause, it's very, very hard to stop that cause from being enacted. Because we make a big fuss and we're a really, really hard group to get rid of. And we're a very, very vocal group that is willing to stand up and go, yeah, no, go fuck yourself. You have a bad idea. You taught us a long time ago to say no when you get bad ideas. So we're saying no and we're going to push back and
Well,
governments fall.
there's also it's really interesting because the government, in trying to get more bodies to put into its abattoir, is constantly making us love veterans, though the
Yes.
government prefers ignoring them once they've served. And
Yes.
so what we end up with is veterans have this higher credibility sometimes when it comes to what's going on in our country. When they say this is wrong, everyone goes, "Hey, the veterans say it's wrong. It can't be a
Hmm.
good thing." And
Yeah.
veterans get more respect just because our government sits there and makes such a big deal over serving our country that they create this, you know.
We've been given a privilege in this country and a role in this country because we swore an oath at
Right.
one point. And I think it comes back to is people see veterans and they know that you swore an oath to serve,
Mhm.
support, and defend the Constitution,
Right.
uphold and defend the Constitution. And you said you would be willing to do that and die for this country.
Correct.
And people go, yeah, I respect that.
Yeah.
Um, Especially
Somebody who
after,
actually definitely cares or willing to put their life on the line for the country,
yeah.
they might be worth listening to.
And, most people tend like to forget that a lot of veterans and a lot of people who join the service are liberal, and
Yeah.
are progressives. Like a lot of us are, because a lot of our families have very, very strong military backgrounds. My family has served since at least World War II in some form and capacity. Both my brothers served, my dad served, my grandfathers served, I served, all pretty much all my cousins served,
Mhm.
my wife served.
I served.
Most of my family has served in the military, and yet yesterday I got called a fucking like anti-patriot, and I laughed at it, um, because the person's an idiot. But
Oh, yeah,
but it's
I
this
got
whole
called,
idea.
I got called out for my upside down flag
Mm. See,
by a patriot, quote unquote.
I will never tell someone they cannot do something with or around the flag unless it's violating flag code itself. Like
If
I'm
it's
very
not
particular.
flag code, oh, my flag never touches the ground. My flag knows
Hmm.
how to be folded. I mean, I am a veteran. And when they pretty much came up to me and said, "You are disrespecting our flag." I said, "That's strange because I was taught in my flag code classes in boot camp that if it is flown upside down, it is a symbol of distress."
Yeah, it's a call for
And
help.
and personally, I think my constitution is being shredded and our country is in severe distress, and I feel I have an every right to sit there and put my flag this way to call attention to the fact that there is so much going wrong right now.
Yeah. And Crystal, you put a very good point. An upside down flag is symbolic if done appropriately. And I think
Right.
that's appropriate. As a veteran, it is one, as a veteran, it is your choice to fly the flag how you choose.
Right.
As a citizen, it is also your choice to fly the flag how you choose because guess what? America. And we
Mhm.
have rights and freedom of speech. And I fought for those rights. I went to Afghanistan. I'm not going to tell you you can't fly a flag upside down. I do know there is a special privilege as a veteran when we fly our flags. And there is a reason I don't fly mine upside down is because I was also taught that these colors never retreat and never go backwards, which
Mhm.
is why on our uniforms in the
Right.
service, you wear
The
your flag,
stars are always going
the, f-
forward.
the stars are always going forward, no
Correct.
matter which way. It's all when you move, you don't retreat in the military. The flag never retreats because these colors don't run.
Right.
That's what we were taught. I also believe in the slogans of "Don't tread on me." Like, I'm a believer in our constitutional and like fun foundational values. My father was a U.S. history major, as a retired full bird colonel in the Army. Like, I grew up military. I grew up with the Army. I joined the Army because my oldest brother went in and became an Apache mechanic
Oh,
and
neat.
pilot and served in Iraq and Afghanistan, at least Iraq. I won't talk Afghanistan. I know he went to Iraq more than once. He liked it so much he went back a couple times.
Oh, wow.
Um, he didn't like it, but he went back a couple times. Um, and and I joined partially because of him. My middle brother also joined. I enlisted because I wanted to fly Apaches because my oldest brother did it, and I thought it was fucking badass because it is fucking badass. Like those dudes, badass as shit. They can do some cool ass things, and I'm glad I'm not one of them because I don't have the stomach to do what they do. I've figured out. But going back to the flag thing is like I won't fly the flag backwards unless my home itself is in distress, because that's what I was also taught was not only is it's my duty for the flag to be for my when I fly a flag at my own home, it's meant to symbolize my home is in distress,
Mhm.
um, compared to the nation is in distress. So as a veteran,
Right.
I use that responsibility in a different way, but I don't. I also think you are doing absolutely your right as a veteran to do it too, because that's it. That's exactly what it is. Is I can't tell you what to do because if I did, in this sense, especially, I would be un-American.
Right.
It's un-American for me to tell you that you cannot practice flying a flag within flag code appropriately. But if you violate it, like the people who wear like things like wearing flags all over yourself
I
and
hate that.
shit like that, where flags have become drapery in clothing and articles and on your
Yeah, that
underwear
bothers me a
or
lot.
in your fucking Speedos, that is a
It is.
violation of flag code and it is a desecration of our flag. If
It
you're
is.
a patriot, you don't wear underwear that has a big old American flag on your dick, vagina, or butthole. Like,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, penis, vagina, or butthole. If we're going to go, or anus, let's go even more medical because I'm going to say all three words because we shouldn't be afraid of words.
Right.
If you wear a flag on your body as drapery and clothing, it is violating flag code.
Yep. It is a violation of flag code.
And you right there lose my respect as patriots. Like,
Right.
shut up. Like, yeah, or on your tits. Like, if you're wearing them on your boobs and cut and using them as nipple pasties and shit, that's a fucking violation of flag code.
It
You
is.
should be ashamed of what you're
Right.
doing.
Exactly. And actually, I will point out it's upside down, but the stars are still going forward
Yeah.
upside down. They're just
And that's the thing is like there's a way to fly flags. I
mhm.
was corrected. I flew mine in the wrong direction the first day, and I had the
Oh,
stars
wow.
over my wrong shoulder, and someone reached out to me in our chat or in my subscription base, and Cliff, he reached out and was like, "Hey, hold on, hold on, my door is being knocked up."
That's okay. My food delivery's coming. Oh, goodness. Your door? Are you sure it's let's you have a very low door. And this in some ways goes back to um Christian nationalism.
Hi, random people on the internet.
This is my
Hello
son.
again.
He's my delivery guy. He was late getting lunch to me, but I'll skip lunch till later. Anyhow, did you
Anyway,
see the pile over here, hon?
so go rant. Where
But
was I?
okay.
I was in a
Anyhow,
good
on your
spot on
rant,
my rant.
I was going to take your rant over
Yeah.
to what Christian nationalism is working to do.
Yeah. Oh, let
In
me
that,
finish out the last thing before is
okay.
there's a right way to do the things with the flag. Sorry,
Hmm.
is fly it
Right.
upside down, but keep the stars going forward.
Correct.
There's a right way. Cliff, our friend and I in my chats, corrected me on how the flag was, and I put it in the correct direction so that I
Right.
had the flag flying over what you all see as forward because
Right.
that's the correct direction. And
Right.
that's why I angle myself so that the stars are visible in the way they are so that I'm not obscuring them because I'm trying to respect the flag.
Hmm.
And so you'll see me shift and move because I want to make sure I'm respecting the flag behind me as well. And
Right.
Lisa's doing the same. Anyway, sorry, go back.
So I was going
Rant
to
over.
take our rant into what Christian nationalism's goals are, because it takes you have to do the flag this way or it offends us. To you have to live this way or it offends us.
Yeah,
Like you can't live as a lesbian, gay, or trans person because it offends us. Now,
correct.
there is nothing wrong ethically with consenting adults doing consenting adult things in private spaces.
Correct. Like
So,
it ain't your business what I do behind closed doors.
right. He's stealing my food, guys.
Damn these children.
I know. They never give up. You're feeding them when they're almost 30. You know,
It's almost like it's a forever thing.
pretty much. But anyhow, um, so what happens here is it's interesting because Charlie Kirk originally started as secular, but he discovered that especially in 2020 during the January 6th stuff, he realized that the right-wing Christian part of it was actually very powerful and
Yeah.
had a lot more staying power than doing it secularly. So he threw in
Yes.
his lot with them and became very much. And the other thing is that, of course, there is a very much white part to Christian nationalism. It has
Yes.
been racist from its beginning. And Charlie Kirk is nothing if not a racist. So
Oh,
it
yeah. And
allowed
he's very
him,
open about it.
yeah, so it allowed him to bring all this together and further make his movement. And now Turning Point USA is pretty much just seen as a Christian nationalist group, even though it started out secularly. Because one part of Christian nationalism, of course, is the people that want power are co opting evangelicalism to get people to support them
Yes.
because they know that these people are being raised to be obedient. They're being raised to do what they're told. And that makes them perfect to support a movement.
Yeah.
When you're doing
And
it for Jesus,
Yeah, when you have a righteousness and a godliness behind you, and you have something that drives a faith more so,
Mhm.
righteousness and a faith behind you, you have a strong belief system that pulls you forward, whether for good or for bad. You have a strong belief system that pulls you forward. And they definitely have this. Like they have a very strong sense of,
And they're being told that they have an actual edict from God to go do it.
yeah,
That doesn't help matters
I,
either.
yeah. And it's less they have a strong sense of self and self-worth, but they have a strong sense of faith that no matter what, or that the acts that they're doing in the name of God. And I'm not saying bad acts or good acts. I'm saying just the acts that they're doing in the pursuit of holiness, they have more leeway in, or they have more forgiveness in, or they can gain forgiveness in through just the like the force of the righteousness of the act and the force of
Right.
doing it for God's sake. Because we were reading the sermon last time, and one of the things they even called out was people will even mistake us for or call us as evildoers, and we
Mhm.
must accept that we will be um, shamed or shunned and put out and called evildoers. And I think it's very telling on yourself when you have to say a majority of people are going to call you evil for doing what you're doing. Then that doesn't sound godly. It sounds righteous, but it doesn't sound godly anymore.
No. Um, okay. PRRI. I've found them and they've got a ton of research on this stuff. You want to be
Yeah.
really sad? Um,
No, but we should be.
Christian nationalist views predominate the South and the Midwest. There is a strong correlation between support for Christian nationalism and the vote for President Trump in all 50 states. The states with the highest levels of support for Christian nationalism, which include about half of their residents, are Mississippi at 51%, Oklahoma 51%, Louisiana 50%, Arkansas 49%. I figured you'd like to hear that. West Virginia 48%, and North Dakota 46%. Two states emerged with more than half of their white non-Hispanic residents supporting Christian nationalism, Louisiana and Mississippi.
Hey, at
More
least
than
we're below
half.
half. At
Yeah,
least
at
we're
least you're
below
below half by
half.
one whole percent.
Jesus. Good job, Arkansas. We're in the top 50% for something.
Notice that the educational level of the states that have the highest Christian nationalism is, if you look at
Yes.
your rankings in education, your Christian nationalist states also rank very low on education.
Yeah.
And
And as Paul rightly states out, the ones in most need of government services are the ones that have the highest rate of Christian nationalism on average. Um, and that's for a reason, and it's for causes because they have been taught and raised that faith is above um, citizenship or
right,
citizenry, and so the
your
natural law
Christian first.
is less important than the religious law. So they don't want the services because they want things to run through the church. They don't want the government involved. They want to actively remove the government so that the church can be the system. Because one of the things in the 20th century that's really changed in America is the secularization of schools,
Right,
public schools. Is that did really change in America in the 20th centuries. We pulled out a lot of religion. We didn't pull out all of it, but we secularized a lot of our schools, and a lot of the education moved out of churches, and a lot of kids went out of homeschool and went into the public system and got educated in a
right,
service that wasn't just a church. And so churches have lost a lot of their power. And when you lose power, especially when you're that powerful, you tend to get mad about it and want more power back. So they weaponized it. They weaponized religion and turned it into nationalism because it's an easy target, to be totally
Right.
honest. You're already open to believing that somebody else's will is more important than your own. It's an easy
Right.
step from there to say, well, this person is the elect or the anointed of God. You should
Which is
follow
what they did with
their
Trump.
will, which they did with Trump, which they tried a little bit to do with JD Vance, but nobody likes him. So
He
and he
he
kind of
he is like the
he's
most unlikable human being. It's just there's something about him. You just look at him and go, "Ooh." I don't get it, but that
it's
guy's got
he's
something.
like the socks of a human being. Like you have to use them, but you don't really like them.
I like that, the socks of a human being. She just
And he
there's
smells
just
and he gets nasty and shitty all the time, like just covered in sweat and gross. I hope he's got
mm,
I hope he's got mold growing on him somewhere because that would be very JD. Um, I also I'm going to be very careful how I word this because I want to make sure it's offensive to JD and not to the people I know that it shouldn't be offensive to. Is JD has had more names and changes and identities than I know
oh,
most
yeah.
trans people have. Like, what? Like, come on, man. Like,
He's
decide
somebody,
on who you are at least.
when you read Hillbilly Elegy, you realize the guy was raised in a very destructive home.
Oh, yeah.
And what's interesting is I was raised in an abusive home, but in some ways my home was not as destructive as his was. And part of his real problem is he has all of this trauma from his childhood that he has not ever dealt with. And that's what part of why he keeps reinventing himself is because he doesn't like who he is because he believes he was never anything
Yeah.
good. So he has
Yeah.
to constantly reinvent. He's vice president of the United States, and he's still got this little baby boy inside of him that goes, "Oh my goodness, nobody likes me. I'm going to have to be someone different again." And oh, he's disgusting. There's just something
Mm,
really off about that man.
yeah. And I mean, what strikes me as going on that changing identities or going deeper into this changing identities is not too long before running for office, probably only a year or two before, he changed his faith system.
Mhm.
Like he went to Catholic nationalism. He went into a nationalist church or
Do
in,
you
I don't know exactly what group he's
do
in.
you wonder if part of that because I know that, his wife, Usha, is that how it's
Ursha.
pronounced?
Usha.
Usha?
Sorry,
The
Usha.
way she was the okay, she really kinda mentored him, I don't
Hmm.
know if you know that, into where he's become, and he had to do I think he actually did some clerking at one point, and he had to have learned that Leonard Leo was pushing a lot of the background. Leonard Leo is a Catholic integralist, which is the Christian nationalism version of Catholicism. So I'm wondering if he ended up doing that specifically to endear himself with the groups that were working behind the scenes to take over
Oh, more
voters.
than likely.
You know,
Like,
it was just a calculated.
oh, absolutely. JD Vance, if anything, is calculated. Like
Mhm.
he's a very intelligent man. He's very cunning. He's very intelligent. He's very smooth talking at times when he needs to, like when he wants to turn it on. Like when he
Right,
really wants to turn it on, he's slimy and smooth and gross.
right.
But yeah, I think it's very calculated why he went to why he joined the church that he did, why he became the certain faith he is, why he now espouses views that would have probably made him vomit in college.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think with the Leonard Leo ties, with all of that behind the scenes, there is a tie. It's all about, in the end, it's all about power, and they want
Mhm.
control, and they want their version of the apocalypse or something to happen so that they can go ascend to heaven and feel good about themselves and leave us in this wasteland.
Um,
But that's far afield. I'm seeing there's a chat going on about Opus
Opus
Dei,
Dei.
and I'd like to hear more from you on that.
Opus Dei, I saw a lot of stuff when they were originally, how would I put this? They were actually doing good. Mr. Monty is just teasing me. He just keeps coming up to me and then he won't get in my lap. Such an evil kitty. But anyhow, Opus Dei, I saw them when they're considered a laity group. And they originally were supposed to be, they originally had some really good outreach going. But um, from what I understand, it's gotten a lot more culty and a lot less approved of than it used to be.
Well,
It
if
was
what's
founded
coming,
in 1928. Here, I just looked it up. Means work of God in Latin, which, yeah, it's an institution of the Catholic Church founded in 1928 by Jose Maria Estriba. Officially known as the Prelature of the Holy Cross and Opus Dei, mission is to help its members, lay and clericals, seek holiness in their everyday lives, emphasizing all Christians are called to make Jesus Christ known through their work and social relations. Opus Dei promotes the idea that personal Christian perfection can be achieved through ordinary life, focusing on work and daily activities as opportunities for spiritual growth. So it sounds like a really good way to be a good Christian. But
yeah,
like all things in the world, it can get corrupted and turned into something else totally outside of what its original intention was.
yes, yeah,
Uh-oh.
and I'm reading, going through the Daily Kos article or Kos. I don't know actually how to say.
Like Cossack, I think. That could be wrong. Could be Coos. But
Whatever, however you say it, is they have an article titled Opus Dei, the Supreme Court and JD Vance, a speculation. And
okay.
we want to make sure, like, neither of us know for sure. All of this is speculative. Like, I am not accusing JD Vance of being a part of any organizations within any organized groups of religion. I just know that the group of Catholicism that he has joined is a Christian or is a Catholic nationalist
Right.
style organization. And just as we know that Pete Hegseth attends and practices from a Christian nationalist church. And so some of the words, so we want to just, we'll use our words because words have power. And all of this is, it could be assumed very easily that he would be that he might be a member of Opus Dei because of his belief systems and the way that he or the system that he believes, at least right now, in terms of the views of family structure and family organization. Like those come very much from that group. Um, where it's very much not a Christian belief system of how the family is organized and the priority of like family and God and those around you.
Right.
And he takes it very, very, very out of context and wrong, and that's pretty gross. So I would be interested to know. And like, I mean, talking about like Amy Coney Barrett and
Hmm.
her connections to it. I
Yeah.
mean, it came
Well,
out that
wasn't
she's
she
a
a member
member
of
of a
Opus
cult.
Dei?
I
Yeah.
think so. I think, yeah,
I believe she was a member.
I think that came out because she's very culty. And like, that's a whole thing that everybody knows about her is like, she's a member of a cult. She's got like eight or 10 kids or something. And good for her for having a bunch of kids. And the fact that she's made entire career and turned into a Supreme Court justice. Like, I'm not a
Hmm.
Supreme Court justice. Good for her. Then again,
And she was
she probably
a
got put
professor.
there. Yeah. Like, she's not a dumb woman. Like, she's incredibly smart. She worked at, what was it, Notre Dame.
Right.
Um, like, it's, it's a great school. You don't just work at Notre Dame because you're
Right.
dumb.
Well, she
And
also was. I admired the fact that she actually recused herself. She is the only Supreme Court justice recently that has been willing to recuse themselves and say, "I know what's
mm,
going on. I know these people, and I refuse to take
that's
part of
not
it."
true. That's not true.
She
The
isn't.
one of the liberal justices also recused himself not too long ago. But
Well,
she's the only one from the right wing who has recused himself in forever.
and you look at Clarence Thomas and how he's been in the midst of a lot of these things, and he doesn't even admit it.
He doesn't even blink an eye.
Yeah, he sends me on wonderful trout fishing trips, but I'm going to go and hear his case, and I can promise I will be an independent jurist. Bullshit.
Or his
You know?
wife is the one who lobbied to get the case in front of the Supreme Court. Like,
Mhm.
that's not a conflict of interest. How?
Mhm.
Or,
Right.
she was part of the conversations around the January 6th insurrection, and he sat on the Supreme Court during hearings about January 6th and still does. Just like Justice Alito sits on the
Right.
Supreme Court as a
So much
nationalist,
corruption.
as flying a Christian nationalist flag outside of one of his many
Mhm.
homes, which is ridiculous. He's a Supreme Court justice. You're a servant of the people. You're not supposed to be rich. You're not supposed to make a ton of money doing it. Yeah, you should be able to live, but I don't have 3 homes. You should live
Right.
like all the rest of us do. And like, these people are fucking nuts. I will give Amy Coney Barrett one plus, is she has been much more consistent than any of the other right-wing justices
Yeah, they're starting to
on
dislike her.
on gun rights, on guns. She's very consistent in the conversation around guns. And
There's been a
a
couple
lot
times
of
they
women's stuff, she's very, very interestingly not gone along the lines you would
Mhm.
think she would go, but she has been 100% consistent with religious-based rulings. Is every single religious-based ruling, if there is something to do with where a Catholic or Christian group was hurt in some way, she has gone to provide them relief. Um, so, and just like every other right wing judges, they've literally provided relief every single time to
Right.
right wing causes, and it is all corrupt. Um, but in terms of like JD Vance in the Opus Dei stuff, like, if JD Vance is a part of it, and let's say more of them are, which it's very much believable. It's like they talk about the deep state, they talk about these cabals of left wing Jews
Right.
controlling the world, yet it's always, always the right wing fundamentalists, typically Christians,
It's
in their little
reflection,
cabals.
or
It's
what is it called? When you sit there
projection.
and projection. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, they're projecting their crimes. Like, we need to believe them when they call us things. That's what they
They're
are. That's
probably
what they're
doing it.
doing. Like,
Yeah.
if they say there's the deep state and a cabal of Jews, what that really means is there's a deep state and a cabal of Christian nationalists running everything and calling it Jewish space lasers. Yeah. Like Marjorie
Like
Taylor
Jewish space
Greene.
later.
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene and her stupid Jewish space lasers. She's a fucking nut job.
Well,
I
everyone knows
hope
it's the gays
somebody.
that are causing global warming. We all know that.
No, no.
I'm personally
Well,
causing global warming every day.
well, like we said last time, I think it was you, like I said it last time, is Christians, it's on you now. The gays won. Globe is warming. It's on you. Your problem now. You can't stop it. That means God ain't doing enough for you. So pray harder. And if
What-
you're dying in the floods because you don't want to do things, you want to trust in God and you don't want to trust in science and you want to defund all the science, when you and your kids die, I'm not going to feel bad. I'm sorry. I'm going to feel bad for all of the other people who didn't believe in that nonsense and who wanted to have a little bit more, but pray harder. And, because thoughts and prayers work so fucking well. We've seen how well that works.
Yes. I, I,
Sorry.
I often
I have
wonder.
thoughts on religion, but I don't express them always because I don't. One, I respect my audience and everybody's beliefs are their own. And I don't
Right.
want to put mine on everybody's all the time.
For
Um,
me, my husband, he was actually a restorationist, uh, Church of Christ member, which
mhm.
they broke away from Church of Christ which is actually the RLDS church. They became the Church of Christ. That Church of Christ. There's so many community. I said Community of Christ is actually what they were. Anyhow, the RLDS church, they broke over women in ministry, and he was one of the no women can be in ministry people. And coming from where I did, that was okay. But the thing was, he believed in the Book of Mormon, and I can't believe in Joseph Smith no matter how hard I try. And I had a serious struggle with all faith at that point because I realized believed in the Bible
Hmm.
and I couldn't believe in the Book of Mormon. And I
Yep.
struggled so hard. I'm like, okay, so I understand cognitive dissonance and I understand that we have these biases. And I sat there and I struggled with why can't I believe in one and not the other? And instead of leading me closer to believing in his religion, it took me farther and farther from believing in any. Because if I could believe in one and not the other,
Yeah.
and I kept going, why can I believe in the Bible, but I can't believe in the Book of Mormon? And part of it's because if you ever read any of Joseph Smith's prophecies, he's like telling them that God said to build him a mansion, and God said to build him this church, and God said to build him this, and God said to go buy this for him. And it's like you can't believe anything the man says when he's sitting there and having all these prophecies that tell people to spend money on him. I
So
don't understand how people believe in this man. I really
I,
don't.
to be honest, I think Joseph Smith may be the parallel to Trump that most people are not making, because
That's true.
Joseph Smith was a convicted fraudster.
Yes.
He was a pedophile and a crook and had multiple wives and had children
Mhm.
all over the place and did incredibly disgusting things. He was eventually murdered. No, he was put to justice. He wasn't murdered. He was
He
put to
jumped out of a
justice.
window and killed
Yeah, he was
himself
put to justice. He
because
he
he
let
was a Jew.
himself he ended. Um and he was but the big thing is he was a fraudster and he was a grifter and he was a cheat and he lied and he made fake truths on
Mhm.
gold plates and
Mhm.
sold them as truth. Does that sound like anyone we know today? The Mormon church is the biggest, or the beginnings of Mormonism. I wouldn't say all of Mormons in general, because I know a lot of Mormons who are incredibly wonderful people, and their faith guides them incredibly wonderful ways.
Mhm.
But the underpinnings of Mormonism and the foundations of it are based on what MAGA is. MAGA
Mhm.
is the early underpinnings of Mormonism. It's a lot. It looks very similar to me. And you just
Right.
made that connection for me.
One of the things, too, about the whole thing is, there's this denial. I don't know if you know this, but there's the original split in Mormonism happened after the death of Joseph Smith. His wife and his kids stayed behind, and the rest of the group went to Utah. And the group that stayed behind actually believes that he never married more than one woman, and they insist that he was a prophet of God, of course.
Hmm.
And what he did, and this is really terrible, he told all of his believers that they would create God's kingdom on earth in Independence, Missouri. And so they all moved out there. And it didn't happen. So he then had this other, prophecy, and it said that it was all their fault that they didn't have God come up and show up in Independence, and as soon as they get healthy enough, they will have, quote, unquote, "Zion," which is their version of heaven on earth.
Hmm.
And so these poor people, it's been over 100 years, and they're still trying to get good enough to have God give them Zion in Independence, Missouri, or in Utah, depending on which branch they're in.
Well,
It's just sad.
let me first say probably the reason that God chose not to one reappear is one, Joseph Smith's a fraudster.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
do that one. And
Yeah.
two, the Mormons genocided the native population. Like, if you want to know who killed most of the native population in the country, it was the Mormons. The Mormons killed off millions of people. They were butchers. They were ruthless. If you want to know why they didn't get why they haven't found Zion or been opened their stairway to heaven, is because that little
Well,
devil inside of them that said go murder everybody became a real big devil.
if you ask them about their book, I don't know if you know this. Have you read the Book of Mormon?
I tried to again, and I couldn't get all the way
It
through
is
because
hard to read.
it's
I agree.
gobbledygook.
It is, and it's not even true, because he tried to make it sound like it was the King James version, and he didn't know enough of the actual, English of that time to do it right. So that's one of the reasons people feel weird about it is because it's not it feels off the whole time you're reading it, but, there's something called the Lamanites, and the Lamanites
Yeah.
are supposed to be are the progenitors of the American native population. And they all became sinful and so forth. So their whole goal, supposedly, according to the book, was to reach out to all of the Lamanites and bring them to become Christians. And there was actually a time when he promised that if you were black and joined the Mormons, you would turn white when you got holy enough.
Yeah, and it took a long time for them to even let black people into the church.
And when they
Like,
did, yeah, the original Book of Mormon said you convert your skin will turn white and pure.
yeah, they believe
Yeah,
in some weird stuff.
it's yeah. Now the Catholic stuff and white nationalism, I don't know if you know this, but Catholicism actually goes back to the middle 1800s. It's older than the white Christian nationalism we have. And part of
Yes.
that, I think, comes from the fact that at one point in history, the Catholic Church was the government. And there are people who want to one day have Catholic Church come back to being in
Yeah.
charge of everything. Which if you
Well,
look at like, the Crusades and you look at the
like
Inquisition
Knights
and things.
Templar and
Yeah, you look at the
Inquisitions and
Inquisition, I don't think having the Catholic Church in charge is really the best way to run a world.
no, I mean we went through what 1,000 years of darkness when
Mhm.
religion took over, and we lost 1,000 years of progression in not evolution, but in terms of technological evolution.
Yeah.
We
Science,
sort of
research.
sat there. We went all backwards for
Mhm.
years, for hundreds of years. We just stagnated. Guess what? We're stagnating again right now. Like
Yeah.
that's what they want. They want us to
We are
stagnate.
so far behind China already, and we're not educating people to get them to the point where they can keep up. We're abandoning education.
Yeah. Yeah. We're abandoning education because honestly, I think it's because they think AI has hit the point where it doesn't need us to be smart anymore, where we can just be easily manipulated and controlled. And I was talking to my buddy Jacob Summers a little bit before this. Um, he's also he's an army veteran with me. We served together, and one of his thoughts, he's on the fitness side, is they're bringing back they brought back the presidential fitness standard, which the president couldn't pass. So
Right.
it's a bad standard just in general. Um, but is that they're dumbing us down. They're making it easier for people to have to work in factories and bring in factories and making things unsafe again, so that the only real option for people, and taking away social safety nets and stuff like that, to make the only real option for people to be able to do stuff is to join the military.
Or
So that,
to work in
or to join
factories production.
ICE. Yeah.
We're looking at bringing back sweatshops because
Yeah.
they
And they
don't
want to
want.
do it to militarize, to either prep for a civil war or a global war, or to start one. And I'm not saying that's where we're going exactly, but if you look at the historical trends and where we are sitting, say late 30s Germany, we are
Mhm.
on track to a very rough decade.
I really wonder if Greenland and Canada are safe,
See,
you
the
know?
thing is, no, if a global war broke out, if a civil war in the US broke out, nowhere is safe because we are holding together just by our force of like our navy and stuff like that. We're
Right.
holding a lot of things together that otherwise would fall apart. I think the European Union for the most part would be roughly fine, but North America would destabilize very quickly because it would unleash in some areas the ability for, say, a governor of a state with the Rio Grande next to it to put big old spikes or landmines into it and turn it into a war zone and actively start a war with a country.
You've already
Um,
got razor wire in the Rio Grande.
yeah, and so
Mhm.
all of this, though, it doesn't sound like it connects, but it
It
does.
does.
It's all of it is driven by the views of the Christian nationalists. The changes that are happening, the reason we have these presidential fitness standards again and this fitness test again, the reason that the DoD schooling system has gotten rid of so much history of non-white people. Anyone who isn't white, you basically don't have history of in a DoD funded school anymore, which is a lot of children, I might
Mhm.
add. And a lot of them go into the military too, is they're nationalizing the force in terms of they're making it more nationalistic and more
Mhm.
partisan, which degrades trust in the force. But they're also going to force people into it as the only option. It's either you go serve in the military or you go work in a factory.
Right.
And the ones who are pushing all of this are Pete Hegseth, are Leonard Leo, are
Right.
Peter Thiel, are Curtis Yarvin, are JD Vance, Don Jr. Um, because Don Jr. you don't hear talk about his dad anymore. He's friends. He's the one who got JD put into that spot. It's never
Mhm.
been about his dad at this point. It's about what Don thinks is best for Don, because the Dons only think about the Dons. Um, but it comes back to is they think they don't need us anymore, like OpenAI and things like
Right.
that. And we're just going to get dumbed down because that's what Christian nationalism needs is it needs a feudal society that props up late stage capitalism or else it collapses. Because if you notice, people are getting poorer and poorer very, very quickly.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
the
And
wealth is being
money's finally
transferred very, very fast.
yeah.
And the
The biggest
only thing that
transfer since
saves that, yep, the only thing that saves that, because at some point we can't buy the things that they're producing.
right.
They don't need to produce anything once we work for them and have to buy them. They just produce the stuff that they know we need to survive in basics on. And you get Walmart corporate towns and things like
Mhm.
that. Um,
Have
it's
you
a
ever
little
read
bit
The
of a
Jungle?
ranty. The jungle, feel like I have.
It's the one um the protagonist in the beginning of the book is an immigrant who is brought here um from overseas and assured that there's really really good money to be made in the US. Comes to the US and finds it and ends up getting into a abattoir, a cow slaughtering plant,
Yeah.
and ends up having to rent his house from the cow slaughtering plant. Ends up eating adulterated, spoiled food turned into sausages because it's all he can afford from the plant. And this was actually going on in the early 20th century. It's actually a book that's fictionalized to bring attention to the fact that people were being worked to death, put in housing that was substandard, and so forth. And it created a lot of the pushback that got us the New Deal. And I think people need to read it because they're going to see where industry is taking us back there.
We don't
They
even need
want
to.
to get rid of child labor laws. They want to get rid of safety laws because they don't want to pay for any of this. They want to pay us less and less money because they want us poor. I mean, it's all connected.
Yeah, and we have to make sure to let's say it correctly for some areas is it's not they want they are removing child labor laws. They
This is true.
are removing safety restrictions. In Arkansas, they lowered the age for child labor and they made it so that it was a requirement for only public school taught children to have to go work in the public sector for free for like donate their time to uh business. Like you can't just go and like go to a charity event now. You have to actually go work as an unpaid intern for somebody for a little while to graduate in Arkansas. They call it the Learns Act. Sure.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
care. I like the idea of on premise and in person training. Like I am a registered journeyman software engineer under the
Mhm.
federal I did a federally sponsored apprenticeship program with the government to train me as a software engineer and get that type of training on premise in person working, like doing a job. And then I
Me too.
started that job and worked. I worked at Amazon. That's how I got in at Amazon because I was a vet and I went into a vet focused program that helped train us and gear us from service to citizenship. And because when you go back from service to civilian life, it's really hard at times. Um, and yeah, well, are you, Carrie, do you mean the Arkansas or the Alaska law?
Yeah.
AK is
Yeah.
Alaska.
It-
Um, but they have some weird laws out in Alaska too. Um, but Arkansas is pretty messed up on it. And like it's getting worse in areas. And they're lowering child rape like child consent ages and child marriage ages. It's not they want to anymore, it's they are. They have been quietly, but now they're doing it openly. And this is all part of the Christian nationalist movement. It's all part of a dominionist movement to reform society in their view of what nationalism is. um yeah, okay, that's what I thought, Carrie. I just wanted to make sure. Because the Arkansas law is insane. Like it's disgusting what's happening, and the destruction of the Department of Education is going to mean if you're not part of a church, basically, you're not going to get educated at some point. Like they're going to move the education system back to churches or through AI and online programs. And if you're unfortunate enough to have to go through AI and online programs or these AI, whatever AI in-person programs that they replace public schools with, basically, is you're going to get indoctrinated into becoming a little Hitler youth or Trumpian youth nationalist, or
Mhm.
whatever comes next. Thelian or Yarvinist nationalist, like some gross nationalist
Right.
fuckhead. And that's what they want. They want you to be dumb and working because you're easier to control. So
Mhm.
don't be dumb. Don't don't buy into it. Like continue to challenge and fight back and push back and talk about these things. Continue to come to our shows and hear about it
Right.
because
And,
that's what
and
they want us to be scared of it all.
realize that the actual Christian nationalism, if you look at anything biblical, is a heresy. It actually is a heretical thing. It is not based in anything biblical. There's they just pull and cherry pick things to create like um they are actually still pro slavery. And this is where I started today. It's probably a good place to end.
Hmm.
Um Charlie Kirk was a big fan of John MacArthur, who died earlier this year. John MacArthur had a television show, a radio program. He published the John MacArthur Study Bible. In 2001, MacArthur delivered an infamous sermon at his California megachurch. He argued that Black people are cursed by God to be a servile people who are doomed to perpetual slavery. This is a quote from an article on Salon. There have been twisted efforts to rationalize what he said here, but the context of his entire sermon made his meaning quite clear. He's invoking an argument that white Southerners used in the 19th century, claiming Black people were descended from the biblical figure of Canaan, Noah's grandson, who is cursed by God in the book of Genesis to be a servant of servants. MacArthur claimed the descendants of Canaan populated Africa and carried this curse with them. 11 years later, he had not changed his mind. In an interview, MacArthur said, "It is a little strange that we have such an aversion to slavery." He agreed that some slave owners committed quote unquote abuses, but then he noted our society has not outlawed marriage or parenthood, institutions that also include abuse. MacArthur argued that working for a gentle, caring, loving master was the best of all worlds for slaves who had no other opportunity. He then equated being enslaved to a white man as being an obedient servant of Jesus. This is the
Yeah.
beliefs that are behind these people who are now running our defense department, etc. This is where they are actually coming from.
Mm-hmm.
They take little chunks of the Bible and they justify really egregious behaviors and assure us that that is what God wants.
Yes. And because it's all Dominionism, we'll tie it back into the Seven Mountain Mandate, which is part of it, not all of it, but is part of it, because they're just a part of this nonsense and madness. Is the Seven Mountains are
Right.
religion, family, education, government, media, arts and entertainment, and business, all of which they have their hands in, all of which they have very serious control into. And it is on us at this point to continue pushing back. Like we
Right.
have to keep saying something. And what that's going to look like is different in different areas. And if you're in an area where it's very prevalent and where it's very heavy and it's very, very noticeable, say in your schools, or it's becoming more noticeable, is go to your school board meetings and be loud and
Mhm.
be vocal and
Run for
speak up.
school board.
Run for
School
something.
board is a great way to control something important, and it doesn't take as much time as getting into a full-time, like being a
Like the mayor or anything.
right. It's a part-time job, and right now we've got this thing called Moms for Liberty that are doing their best to own school boards and make them Christian nationalist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can deal with Gothard. He was really gross.
Yeah, let me
Gothard.
write them down and we'll talk about
I've
Gothard next
actually
time.
watched a few documentaries about Gothard and his mess over the years. But yeah, he's another really bad. Um, so
Yeah,
um,
we can talk about him then next time because the more we can talk about these folks, maybe we talk about the Duggars
oh yeah,
and the Huckabees, because the Huckabees are an important piece of American life right now and their family, and their relationships to pedophilia and to some really disgusting things. And so it's a lot. It's a lot, but the pushback is we push back as we keep talking about it.
yep,
We keep exposing it because if they the thing with nationalists and the folks like this is they want us to give up because inherently they're weak and inherently they know they're wrong and they can't win because they have bad ideas and they have to cheat to do it. And so we have to be loud enough and big enough to overcome their cheating
right.
to win,
And
which
we also
is
need to
so if you're in
encourage.
California, go vote this November in the special election to redistrict that state. It is not gerrymandering, it is saving democracy.
Also, we need to do our best. We can overcome gerrymandering another way. It's just people have bought into the fact that since they're in a gerrymandered state, they shouldn't vote at all because it's already out an outcome that's decided for them. If we could get all those people who've decided they can't vote because they're gerrymandered to vote, we might be able to kick all of the gerrymandering out. We just have to get people encouraged to believe that if enough of us stand up together, we can make a difference still.
Yeah.
And we've been kind of sold this whole thing where we can't believe that. And so yeah, we really need to
So
work
I
on that.
guess my closing message to everybody in this, because we said it, you just said it, Lisa, was
Mhm.
run for school board, is
Right.
go to the site,
Or
runforsomething.net.
something.
I think, hold on,
Yeah, I think it's .net.
runforsomething.net. I will put it in the chat, but I will also make sure in my version of the video that comes out today, also, I will include it the link in the text body, because I want to make sure everybody has that link. Even if you're not going to run, go to it, sign up, become part of the community, because you may find someone in your area who is really interested in running, and go help them, go volunteer, go support them. It doesn't have to be money. Fred Wellman talks about this a lot, is supporting a candidate doesn't mean money. It means volunteering. It means giving your time. It means being engaged. It means, if you have a platform like ours, inviting people on, if they're a local candidate, to talk and get a bigger audience and spread their message. Like, I'm going to be inviting Hallie Schaffner on. She is running against Tom Cotton. I'm going to be inviting whoever is running in my district to unseat Steve Womack, because it's important. Because if I can use my privilege to do that, and my power and my voice to get it out, and somebody else in Arkansas sees it and picks up on it and goes, shit, we can actually vote and get this person out. I bet you somebody who's not in Arkansas, who's in a less red area, was also going to go, shit, I can vote too. And we can
Hmm.
get these assholes out. And
Right.
it's not just about the red people. It's about the people who are do-nothings.
Right.
So if you're in a blue area and your representative or your senator sucks too, go run for something.
Hmm.
Go get them out. You want to stop the gerontocracy and the forever Senate seats and
Hmm.
put a term limit on Congress? Vote them out. That is the limit to their term.
In our state, I on the float for the Democratic Party, I found out that they can't get not anyone to run for things in the
Mhm.
Democratic Party in my area. People just
Oh, I lost your sound.
I keep getting Amber Alerts
Oh,
here for
oh,
somebody kidnapped a child. Um
Christ. Of course they fucking did.
and it happened within a 45-minute drive of me, so I'm getting Amber Alerts about the kidnapping.
I hate it.
So
I
sorry about
hate
that.
those.
Yeah, it's over my phone, so I don't have much choice but to have it happen.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, we went over a little bit. I'm so glad we were doing these. I think next week talk about Gothard either
okay,
on Tuesday or Thursday,
yeah,
and talk
we can
about
do
the
that.
Huckabees on the other day.
Okay,
Because
sounds good.
I think the Huckabees need some outing of their nasty beliefs, not of their personhood, but of their personality. So
Yeah,
thank you,
yeah.
Lisa. I
Thank you
appreciate it.
for doing this. We'll see you guys on Tuesday at
And
3
thanks
p.m.
everyone in the chat too.
Yeah,
Love it.
thank you
Yeah.
for coming and listening and encouraging and interacting. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Lisa. We'll talk soon.
Yep. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.